At the conclusion of this meeting, we will email this recording to the City of Franklin planners, and this will be posted on the city's website. So you'll be able to share that link with other neighbors if they want to see or hear information about what's being proposed. The Community Housing Partnership has purchased this property, which was once the Southern Care Assisted Living Facility. And they now own it. The building is about 20,700 square feet. It served about 53 assisted living beds, and for whatever reason, they closed their doors, and it gave the opportunity to Community Housing Partnership to purchase this property. And they are proposing to leave the building as it is, but convert the use of this building and convert the interior of the building. We're going to talk through that in just a minute. Community Housing Partnership is a nonprofit based in Franklin, Tennessee, and the CEO of Community Housing Partnership is Wayne Weaver. Wayne, I'm going to pass it over to you and let you introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. As Greg said, the Southern Care Facility has been in existence actually since 1967, 57 years, serving our senior population in Franklin. And they did cease business in the facility a little over 2 years ago, and left the facility has been pretty much deteriorating for a little over 2 years. As you can see, if you were to drive by the property. We first looked at this property a little over a year ago and looked at it a number of times and saw an opportunity to do something that's much like what Southern Care has been doing. And so that mission is to continue to serve pretty much the same population that Southern Care Facility has served for 50 years, which is the senior population dedicated to senior citizens, with just a couple of exceptions to that. And the only exception to that is that Southern Care was an assisted living facility, so you had patients that had, of course, medication, a nurse on staff, maybe possibly memory care, patients, that sort of thing. And our exception would be these are higher functioning seniors that are able to live independently. And the second exception is for adults with intellectual disabilities. We just really felt that we couldn't leave the adults with intellectual disabilities out, because we've been here in Franklin for over 30 years. This is our 30th year actually serving those populations. And we presently rent to many adults with Down syndrome or the like, who really need the opportunity to live in a small place, but that they can transition from living with parents into their own independent space. And we thought it was just a beautiful collaboration to have senior citizens and adults with disabilities living together, helping one another, loving one another, keeping one another company, which is not the case all the time. What this facility is not a transitional facility for the homeless. It's not for those recovering from drug addiction. It's not for sex offenders. It's not for any of those things. It is restricted to pretty much the same use that it has been for the last 57 years, and that's for senior citizens, with the exception of adults with intellectual disabilities. So our plan is to improve the property, as Greg said, by beautifying the property, painting the property, re-landscaping the property, and making it look absolutely beautiful. And we also intend to occupy the property as our primary office, so that we are on site each and every day, ensuring the success and the appearance of the property, and making sure that everything functions as we intend. And again, just to mention this too, even with our senior citizens, we background check everyone, senior citizen or not. We run background checks, criminal background checks, credit checks, etc. But there really is just an open gap in our community for one of the most beloved parts of our community, and that's our senior citizens to have an affordable place to stay in the Franklin community near grandchildren and children and the like. So,
Thank you, Wayne.
yes.
So this neighborhood meeting is required when a rezoning to a development plan is requested. This is the existing property that's here now. You can see the footprint of the 20,000 square foot building and the two entrance drives, as well as the associated parking that wraps in sort of a C shape around the building. The property is currently zoned R2 residential, even though it is an assisted living building. At the time when it operated as an assisted living building, it was a legal non-conforming use in the R2 residential base district. The proposal is to rezone the property to a planned development district, PD. In that PD district, Community Housing Partnership commits to leaving the building footprint as it is and commits to the number of apartments that are associated with this facility. So that's locked in place. There was a special consideration that was added by the Planning Commission to Envision Franklin just a few months ago. And that special consideration states between I-65 and Carruthers Parkway and north of Upland Drive, existing assisted living facilities may be converted to multifamily residential units. Demolition of such building for the purposes of constructing new multifamily residential uses is not supported. This special consideration was to contemplate the reuse of this existing assisted living facility for independent living apartments for seniors. The proposal is for 35 one-bedroom apartments within the existing footprint of the building. We had two proposals that we've submitted to city planning staff showing the addition of parking. This first scheme shows the addition of 5 parking spaces located to the north. The second scheme shows the addition of 9 parking spaces to the back with a T turnaround movement for fire trucks that would be located at the back of the building. This would not include any additional parking or land disturbance to the north side of the building. This is our preferred plan. This would include leaving the 2 access points on Carruthers Parkway, having the existing parking that's there now in front of the building, and the side road that the side drive aisle that comes around to the back here with the additional parking spaces. In a typical apartment development, 1-bedroom apartment requires a total of 1.5 parking spaces. That would equate to a total of 53 parking spaces for this proposed PD district. That will be many more parking spaces than what would be necessary for parking at this campus. And we're asking for a modification of standards to reduce the total number of parking spaces to 37. That would be enough to accommodate residents that are here, as well as staff or maintenance that needs to take care of the property and the building. Community Housing Partnership will be the long-term owner of this building. They'll be the entity responsible for maintenance of the outside and the inside and the grounds associated with this building. If you drive out there now, you'll notice that the landscape is quite tired and quite old. It hasn't had a lot of attention in a number of years. The Community Housing Partnership plans to invest in a new landscape plan for the building. They plan to invest in new overall painting and aesthetics for the grounds and the property, and just really bring it up to where it should be and where it needs to be with their new investment. With that, we're happy to answer any questions that you may have with the proposal. There are two ways that you can ask a question. Either just take yourself off mute, or you can type in the meeting chat box. That's also available for you to type in questions. Alicia, did you have a question? I know you just joined us.
Um,
Okay, I'm just going to put you on mute for a minute while we're answering other questions. Does anybody else have a question they want to ask about what's being proposed?
Sure, it's Ned from Bike Walk Franklin. Just thinking about seniors and others who might want to be physically active. I noticed there's no sidewalk on the west side of Carruthers there. Would there be any site improvements to either get a sidewalk on the west side or add a marked pedestrian crossing over to Dandridge and use the east side sidewalk?
We are just starting the process with the planning and engineering department, talking about what improvements need to be made on the property. At this point, a sidewalk's not contemplated, but I'm not sure if that's going to be a requirement of the board and mayor and alderman or not. So that will be a part of our discovery over the next few months. And we're just starting the very beginning of that process. But thanks for that question, and we'll make note of that as well. We have a question in chat from Miriam. She wants to know, Wayne, do these qualify for Section 8? I don't know the answer to that question.
I don't know that I can answer that question because we're so early in the process, but the intention is just to be at a lower cost than what is typical for seniors in independent living. I mean, I think the average cost in Franklin's about $4,000 per month. So I'm not certain I can answer that at this point.
Okay. Lisa, did you have a question for us?
yes. Yes. Can you hear me? Because it looks like I'm muted.
I can hear you, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that was my question. Like, would there be another meeting? What is to say that they decide, oh, we're not filling up and suddenly we want to maybe have Section 8 or HUD housing or, repurpose this?
Wayne, do you want to talk about the need or demand
Sure.
or what you're proposing?
I can tell you that that we've CHP has been here for 30 years in Franklin, and that would be highly unlikely. We're very dedicated to serving Franklin, and we also know that the need is great for our seniors and our adults with intellectual disabilities. So
35 does not address the need, does it?
No, not at all. Not even close.
We have a question. Have you already addressed traffic, specifically potential need for a traffic light? We have not. I highly doubt that the addition of the 35 independent living apartments will trigger higher demand than the previous 53-bed assisted living facility. While these are seniors and high-functioning adults, they may have a vehicle and can certainly have a driver's license, but there's going to be limited use of vehicles from the residents that are in this property. But I doubt that we're going to see the need for a traffic signal as a part of this proposal. What would be the rental terms? Wayne, how long would the term or how short would the term be?
Long-term leases, no short-term at all, nothing transitional.
So minimum of
1 year.
minimum of a year, okay. Do we have any additional questions? Beth, do you have a question for us?
Hi, this is Beth. The trees that border Carruthers Parkway there in the front,
Yes.
they bring down a lot of debris during a storm. Is that part of the plan, is to trim those, take them down during the landscape process? Like, there's times when they're a danger.
I can tell you this, that we just contacted, and like I said, we've only owned the property a few weeks, but we just contacted a tree company to come out and address those trees that are kind of hanging over into Carruthers Parkway. So we're definitely
Okay.
working on that.
Great. And some of them are also dead.
Yes,
So hopefully those would be looked at as well.
we'll take care of those, absolutely.
Thanks, Beth.
Sure. And one other question, and it's been a while, but I thought at one point there was thoughts of expanding Carruthers Parkway to 2 lanes in each direction, north and southbound.
Yes,
Is
that
that
is still
still-
part of the city's major thoroughfare plan. Yes. To make
Okay.
it a 4-lane median divided boulevard. Absolutely.
So five lanes total.
If there's
But
a turn lane,
that's
if there's a turn lane, that
yeah,
would be
there's
okay.
currently a turn lane. Okay. But there's no plans for that is in the immediate future,
Immediate future, no, but
or
it is a
you
part of
don't
the
know where
long-term
that
plans.
lands.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Anna, did you have a question for us? Anna asked if there's a plan to expand Carruthers. Yes, the city of Franklin's major thoroughfare plan has plans or identifies that Carruthers Parkway will be a 4-lane median divided boulevard from Long Lane all the way to 96 at some point in time in the future. I don't know that there's any immediate plans to start construction or that even funding is made available for Carruthers Parkway expansion, but someday it would be expanded, yes. Alicia says Southern Care wasn't operating at the same time as many subdivisions down Carruthers. Their residents also weren't driving as much as these new residents are lanes to drive.
Hi, this
Sure,
is
Amy, go
Anna
ahead.
speaking. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Can you hear me?
I
Yeah,
can.
thank you for answering my question. I'm just like you said at some point of time. So because there is that private school down the street, the street already gets overcrowded in the morning and afternoon. It's really difficult to get in and out on time. So like my concern is like that indefinite point of time is promising, but if this development is going to happen soon and there are, more residents who are driving, then this is going to create a lot more traffic here. So what is going to be offered to all of us as a solution, like in a
typically
shorter term?
Sure. Typically seniors who are independent, they do have a vehicle. They're driving at non-peak times. They're not out on the road during morning rush or in the evening rush. And they are more likely to go to the grocery store at 10 o'clock in the morning or at 2 o'clock in the afternoon than they would compete with morning rush hour traffic.
Okay, so this is only for seniors. Do I understand correctly?
Yes, seniors and high functioning special needs adults. Yes.
Okay. Do you expect an increased number of other cars, like, anyone providing assistance or shuttles or buses using the road?
So the Franklin Trolley has a special service for seniors and special needs adults. You can arrange for them to come pick you up the day before, and the Franklin Trolley will come by, pick you up, and it is a shuttle. So I would imagine that there might be some group outings where 3 or 4 friends might want to go to the grocery store together so that they can assist each other. And so that would be an opportunity that the trolley could come by and pick them up and take them. So that's a special service that the city of Franklin offers.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. And David, you had a question. Sorry, you joined us late. This is the Southern Care Assisted Living Facility, which previously had 53 beds of assisted living. And Community Housing Partnership is proposing to renovate this building, change the use to independent living apartments for seniors. There would be a total of 35 apartments, all 1 bedroom. And Community Housing Partnership would kind of oversee who is qualified to move into this facility, but it's for seniors over the age of 65 and special needs adults who are certainly capable of living alone by themselves, but they just have some hardships. And Miriam, has this project already been approved? No, we are just at the very, very beginning of this process. The plans for this rezoning would be filed on August the 12th. We would be tracking forward to the September 26th Planning Commission meeting. And then it would have to go to the board and mayor and alderman for 3 readings in October, November, and December. So we're at the very beginning of this process. And we do this neighborhood meeting so that we can hear from the neighbors, hear from the community before we start the submittal process to the city of Franklin. And Lisa states in chat, I believe anything new coming should provide stop signs or traffic lights. And thank you for that comment. We'll certainly pass that along to our engineering department. What zoning district is being targeted? Sure. So this is the R2 zoning is what it's currently zoned today. The assisted living facility, the assisted living building was a legal non-conforming use in the R2 base district. We're requesting that it be planned development. So any future changes to the building would have to come back to Planning Commission and back to the board and mayor and alderman. So it's kind of putting those zoning restrictions on the property that Community Housing Partnership has to do what they say they're going to be doing through this process.
Would you expect any closures, road closures during the construction period? And when do you anticipate the construction period to be?
Sure, all the renovations are interior with the exception of these 3 areas where we're going to have to add either concrete or asphalt to add the additional parking. Very, very limited construction activity on this property. Again, most of it's going to be interior. So any construction will be parking on the property in these parking spaces. All materials delivered will be into the parking lot, probably to the back of the building. So no disturbance anticipated at all on Crothers Parkway.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Are there age limits to living here? Or there was some sort of mention about maybe a screening process or like there wouldn't be any sex offenders. Is there a screening process or age limits?
Can I answer that, Greg?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, it is. It is age restricted with the exception of the adults with intellectual disabilities would be the only exception to the age restriction. It's focused on senior citizens, and senior citizens are still screened, background check, no sex offenders, credit checks, everything that any other typical resident would have to go through.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there management on site, Wayne?
Yes, we will occupy the property each day. There's an office in the building. We will occupy that building to manage the facility full time.
And do you have on-site security or how does that work?
On-site security. We haven't completely gotten to every detail on that. We do plan on having a security system. Is that what you mean?
Right, yes. So someone's asking, so you're saying no to sex offenders. What about violent offenders and theft?
No to them as well.
Okay. Is there a minimum age for senior?
Typically senior citizens 65 years of age or older.
Okay.
So for people with disabilities, did you say intellectual disabilities or physical as well?
It could be physical as well.
So for those,
But typically a more higher functioning adult with a disability is, I mean, I can't say this 100%, but they're typically more of an intellectual disability, such as we presently rent to a gentleman, works at Home Depot, is Down syndrome, a high functioning Down syndrome
Mhm.
along those
Yeah,
lines.
I was just wondering, like, how are the people gonna be assessed? And then, there are a lot of kids in this neighborhood, like what, and back to the security question, like, who's gonna make sure that people who might, who might create some issues for the neighborhood don't get out, don't get into the neighborhood? There are hundreds of things that could happen if people are roaming around without supervision, if they have intellectual issues.
No, it's more of a, that would be, I think what you're referring to is someone that will be living in a different type of facility. This is not that type of facility.
Okay.
It's more of a higher functioning disability, like you'd see bagging your groceries at Kroger, or working at Home Depot, that can function and live on their own.
Okay, gotcha. Thank
But
you.
not a danger to the community at all.
I have a question. Can you
Yes,
hear me?
go ahead.
Hey, so I know one of the points that you guys were making was regarding parking. I know I guess the suggested parking limit is about 37. Can you guys clarify on how much parking is available at this very immediate moment that's at the facility?
Yeah, 28 parking spaces are there right now.
Okay. And this is supposed to fit about 35 units with potentials of individuals driving or not driving. How would emergency vehicles be able to go if, let's just say there's family members and there's people at offices? Would there ever be a need to expand the parking and do some construction there where the lines have to be pushed back? And what happens with the easement if the lanes basically decide to increase from 2 to 4 lanes?
The right-of-way line needed for the full 4-lane median divided road is this white property line that you're seeing now. So the city of Franklin has already contemplated how much land they need for future Carruthers Parkway. We are right now working with emergency services, fire, EMS, to make sure that they feel satisfied that they have what they need to access the building, the facility. We don't believe that we'll need any additional parking spaces. However, this whole area up here to the north is going to be left as open space. It could be developed as parking if need be, but we don't believe that's going to be necessary.
Thank you for answering. And has the building been checked as far as infrastructure from when you guys do this renovation? And is there a reason why you guys don't maximize the space by building up?
Affordability, it is the right approach for a community housing partnership in their mission to provide more attainable, more affordable homes for seniors, to just simply do the renovations on the inside of the building.
Got it. Thank you.
Sure. Any additional questions? I don't want to miss anybody.
Greg, I think I see a question regarding patients wandering through the neighboring property
Okay.
that I wanted to address. These the residents will not be patients. So I think that's something you had with assisted living facility where you maybe had aging residents with dementia. So these are not patients, these are higher functioning senior citizens that have the ability to live on their own. They're still fully functioning, can cook for themselves, maintain and handle their day-to-day activities independently. So the same as you'd see at any other senior independent living facility in Franklin.
Thank you, Wayne. Any final questions? Is there a minimum age for adults with disabilities, Wayne?
A minimum?
Yeah.
No, there's really not. I
Okay.
mean, you just need to be an adult.
Is there a distribution of like, percentage or number of units that will go to seniors versus people with disabilities, or it's gonna be first come, first served?
I say that's gonna be based on demand. It's hard to, I think, project that one in advance.
And the placements are approved by who's the authority who's approving the placement?
The Stafford Community Housing Partnership.
Okay. Thank you for answering those.
Thank you.
Sure. Any final questions? You'll be receiving a letter in the mail from us notifying you of the Planning Commission meeting that will be right now in September. There's a possibility that we might delay to October, but our goal is to be on the September Planning Commission agenda. So you'll see that letter in the mail. And if you ever have any questions as we go through this process, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I believe my contact information should have been on the initial letter that you received. And yes, that is my cell phone number. So feel free to call me or text me anytime, or send an email if you have any questions as we go through this process. I'm happy to help. With that, we'll conclude our meeting. Thank you all so much for attending.